Hey everyone, happy to see you on once again 5 Minute Friday. If you don't know me or if you're seeing this for the first time, my name is Kata. I'm a student of Animation Club.School, and also I'm an active user of its Discord server. And I'm very happy to see you here, whether it's live or a recording. It's still pretty nice just to spend some time in studies. Uh, did this little sketch just to kind of give you a warm welcome. Like this. Yes. And I think we're just gonna jump straight into it. I'm kind of been very tired for the week, so let's take it very easy and just like hang around. So give me a minute just to set everything correctly. There we go. Yep, now I'm ready. So today I've decided to prepare a couple of references based on one of the shows I kind of like to watch for a little while recently, called BattleBots. I think this is one of these shows that will go unethical in like the next 50 years when AI will have sentience and like robots will probably plead for rights or something like that, and we'll look back at it on shame. But for now, I'm just happy that I have so many explosion references I can use. So, since it's not the first time I'm doing explosions with 5 Minute Friday, we did them, I think, in April, and it was very fun. We had a little like bomb named Bob, and his head was exploding. But this time we'll go and study something more out of life, out of nature. And I have 3 references over here. Let me delete the line work first, so you won't be like too much spoiled for the ride. We have reference number 1, we have reference number 2, it's there if your screen brightness is very low, and number 3, which is here as well. So I'm gonna play them one by one, and we're gonna discuss them one by one. And then, if you have a specific preference, we can pick a specific example that we could work around from. So they're all, I think, they're all from the same fight, or a couple of them are from the same fight, and one of them is from a different episode entirely. So I have reference number 1, which is this one, yep, which is a very big explosion from pretty far distance. You see everything laying down in perspective. Like the only thing you don't see is like the contact of the explosion with the earth, but I think we can make it up as we go. So I think very interesting shapes. It looks very cool, and also because I told you I didn't want to get you spoiled, I did a bit of preparation just to kind of get myself around. And every explosion, because I have a little bit of explanation of how like explosions work, how I understand that they work, it's a concentration of a lot of energy going all different directions, but usually it finds the paths of least resistance, especially if we're talking about fire, stuff connected to temperature. So we'll see a definite like strong force or several forces that are pushing out away, and the rest of the energy will be moving in this like parallel to these like main directions, but they'll try to stick to these couple of cones that will naturally come out of an explosion. So I did the same thing over here. And we have the reference, and I pointed out that there's, you know what, let's actually do a one over just so we can discuss it together. I'll make even I'll work on my notes as well to see what I've analyzed right and wrong. So as you can see, there's like this big movement over here. I think I made it too big. Yeah. One is going over here, two over here, and number three is over here. Plus, we have to understand that there's context to this frame specifically. That's why I have to tell you beforehand that there's a car that's not a car, a little robot that's smashed into another little robot, and it has a lot of force, and the energy is basically pushing him across the floor. That's why we have another line over here. Because first of all, we have this little arc of force. I think it would be more wise to make this one like a smaller one. This will probably go somewhere around here, I think. And one of them will be over here. And because we can't see the flat plane the explosion is based on, I'm kind of thinking that if we're thinking about this explosion in the 3D space, there would probably be one more force that would be probably pulling away as well in this direction. Plus we see a lot of light coming from behind this door frame, I guess. Little bunker for the robo athletes. And we could probably expect that something is moving that way as well. So we'll keep it like that. Afterwards, first of all, it moves with great force. I didn't use a lot of frames in my explanation video under it, but you can see how fast these main forces would be. So only a couple of frames passed, and we'll already have this arrow over here. This one is not so fast. This one is keeping low, probably because a lot of energy is going this way. This one's being further. And we could probably see the beginning of this. Oops. I'll make this arrow a little bit further. So these move at a lot smaller like spacing than this one over here, because it ricocheted from the other car. It's one of the car parts. Not car parts, robot parts. And then you can see the rest of the arrows are slowly catching up. Let's say over here. We still have a force following up this initial flame that disappears in the railing. And you can see how fast this car over here is moving, how much space it covered in such a quick amount of time. And you can see over here, this line, it actually already dissipated. It's been too weak. And it's slowly dying down, because any force, it has an end. So the forces that are pushing these particles away, they'll stop at some point, and then they'll either stop due to inertia some way in the future, or they'll probably, like this is just straight up fire, it will just dissipate. So that's probably what's happening. We can have like a couple of particles moving here, but this part will be a lot shorter. And then after that, you can see how these two big forces are becoming very, very big, pulling all of the attention to themselves, while this one will become smaller again. And this one, it can sustain this long, big line of fire. So it will have to thin out eventually. And can see that it starts thinning out over here. It's like pulling each other away. And you can see the light has become even less bright here. So the air, you could probably see that all of the fire is starting to group and slowly form up. You can see how over here we have these like arcs of, I guess like cold air pushing the fire away up to the warmer temperatures. So these two big directions lift off the ground. They'll be moved a little bit. That's why they'll look like this. This has become relatively the same size, but it's not moving forward anymore. I would say it's even shorter. The car part that was scooting around over here, it's finally losing its momentum and it's losing its temperature, so you can see how the shapes have separated completely. And we have something like this, slowly moving up. And since it has less and less energy, it will start multiplying into these little cones. So the two main directions that were going up together, they're still going together, but the shapes are much more like eaten out. Like if you bite an apple and you have like bite marks from it, I would say that's pretty close. But if you have not like a mouth full of like different little teeth, if you have like one big tooth, you would just like probably leave marks like that. Okay, let's get these higher up. And you can see even here where it's moving the fastest, it's already splitting into little chunks. So we have this, also a big chunk over here. Now the fire that was going in this direction, it's completely lost its motion and it will be just slowly going out because the fire is very hot, it needs to go up, but it really doesn't have anywhere else to go. No one's pushing it really hard. Same goes to this direction as well. There is some fire here and there, just as an aftertaste of what happened. And we have little fires, like little stringies of hot fire that just connect the whole thing. And it will dissipate into smaller and smaller chunks, bringing up the pieces that don't have any energy to move anywhere else. So let's say from this ball, it will probably become something like this, because again, explosion, fire, hot stuff, it's being eaten out by like a big tooth. So it will start forming something maybe like this, just to show the force that's pulling it forward. Same goes as well over here. We have these. Let me actually look at it. Yeah, you see there's not enough space for it to go further up. There's probably like batches of cold air and just like air giving like resistance to this fire, so it won't go straight up, but it will actually curl on itself, which is what's happening here with this little thing. So we go with one, and we just show how it's slowly being curled up. Am I doing it? Ah, okay. Edit very soon. Okay. We can still show it like this. And you can see it's still splitting not into two completely equal parts. It's splitting into a smaller one and, like, I guess a bigger one, yeah, because there's a lot more force over here. Even though they started curling together, the side on the right would curl a lot faster and would dissipate a lot faster. The one on the left would still move higher. Would still move higher. Yeah. Again, bite marks. This one will move more to the right. This one will move just a bit higher and just a tiny bit to the left. And you can probably see over here that the fire is, yeah, almost completely disappearing. We could have some little things indicating them there. Something like this. And then you can see. Oh, nice that they don't have like a solid wall, that they have railings, that you can still see where the fire is going. So see how far it's going up? And here we almost don't have any fire at all. Oops. Like this. And like this. Okay, let's see what that looks like with that reference. We're just gonna flip it because I think the timing is gonna be a bit too fast for us. So you could see how we mapped the main directions. We mapped the first really fast piece going away. And then slowly we started building some mass over here. First, we stretched it out and then took the whole mass up into the air and slowly dissipated from the inside out. We probably have a couple of more frames just showing how it's disappearing. It's probably going to be something like this. I wonder how it's going to look. Pretty realistic. I would add, you know, some frames. I would play with some timing and maybe some spacing, but it gets the job done. It kind of explains how the masses are working. So this is a very, I think, simple example of an explosion going from a very safe distance, pretty far from us, from this kind of high angle. Let's move on to the next one. Next one that I find a bit more interesting, if you're willing to, I would actually like to go with this one. This one is a bit more interesting because it has this pretty spiral of fire before actually giving us a really fast explosion before the shot ends. So I'm gonna show it without any additional drawings. I'm just gonna let it play. Give it a minute. Yeah, so you can see the pretty fire tail at the beginning, and then a tiny bit of like, I guess, gas leaked out, and there's a huge explosion, which is also very informative. Again, you could see everything we did as on the previous frame. We see the main directions where the hot air found a place to like move through with least resistance, and how all of the air after it and the hot fire are falling after them. You know, pretty like a fire. I'm probably not going to show the whole thing. We're probably going to go a bit faster this time, but I'm just going to show main things that stood out to me. Let's go 1, 2. Oh, you can't see my. Yeah, let's go like this. There we go. Oh, you can't see it. Oh, there we go. So you can see how many frames I have. So my first study I did on this thing specifically. Let's see it. I don't want to make you wait. So again, I mapped out the way the pieces of the fire would probably move, even though they move on a catastrophical speed that my mere 24 frames per second are not able to show well, so we'll have to make a lot of adjustments. But I also like how well you could see the beginning of the explosion. You could see the gas leak over here in the middle, and you could see how differently it explodes upward and horizontal. I don't think we need to show a lot of lines. I think the first example was very informative, and I think we could see all that's happening over here. We could see the main directions shooting out. We could see this little fast piece that will be the beginning of this long thing over here, where you could actually see how the rest of the fire actually is catching up to this column. How it just slowly expands all directions. And turns into this. Not in every shot, you'll have to think about how to dissipate your explosion. Sometimes there are shots where the shot is very short and you only have to show the beginning of the explosion, so it has to look very good. And sometimes I like not thinking about the consequences of creating big explosions and then trying to find an optimal way to dissipate it on the wind. Of course, you don't have to do that, but personally, when I'm doing like effects and stuff, if it doesn't have like a specific purpose, I like it to be looped, just because it's nicer to look at. Let's see, and we have number 3, reference number 3 over here. I think this one is from a different episode of BattleBots, I think, than the rest, than the other 2, but I'm not sure. But it's also very flashy. Let me show you without any additional info from me. This one is very, very short, I think. Now, let me show a couple more frames doing this. Yeah, I guess. Pretty short, but also very informative. Plus, you could see every part of the space. You could even use the little lines over here as what do you call it? Like a perspective grid? Yeah, very informative, you know. So that's why I call BattleBots very like useful reference, because there's a lot of subtle things that make learning from them easier. Plus, they are the very few who have so many explosions. And like not only explosions, next time we're probably going to do sparks. And they also have like a ton of stuff with very interesting sparks in them. Okay. So as well, you probably, if you saw the previous two examples, you probably have a general idea how this one is gonna go. So again, first of all, I show the beginning over here. You can see the sparks and some of the smoke going up here. Then you could see that something happened and a big part, like there's like a big dent with a lot of air coming up this direction specifically. And you could see I didn't put it in the initial reference, probably because I didn't want to use some different images, so it wouldn't jitter as much. But you could see how there's a big direction going over here, and over here, basically. And it has one over here, but it won't be as strong because, you know, hot fire and hot air is gonna go up regardless. And you can see how these directions manifest. We have a big energy over here, and we have some over here as well. But from here, I can't really tell if it's going at us specifically or it's going down. So I'm using this as just like one size fits all. Though if you can figure it out, it will make the drawing look more three-dimensional. But since I was doing it as a very quick study, just lining them out, good enough for me. Oh, it looks like a little star. I just noticed. Give it a little smiling face on it. He's on vacation. Sorry. It's so cold in here in the southern hemisphere. Can't wait for summer. Though I think when summer comes, I'm gonna be very angry that it's gonna be so hot outside. So afterwards, you can see that the movement down here is slowly turning back and starting to move up through the air. And these two directions are almost the same in size and power. But in the end, because you can see the plane shooting through here, that this direction is going to be stronger in the end, and it's going to pull the rest of the fire that way. So you can see it's still bigger, but it has to move after this arrow over here. And since the camera moving as well, the whole fire is gonna move, you know, drastically. So if you're using this as a reference and it doesn't fit your vision of a moving camera, you'd have to rework some bits. But still, I find this very useful. The whole mass is moving higher and higher and slowly starts thinning out in several places. Especially you could see how there's a big cloud mass over here, another one over here, and the ties between them are becoming a lot weaker. So that's why you can see the little thin spots appearing in. And it will slowly lose the hot energy and will dissipate into these like little chunks. And we have a little bit of fire in the end, if you want to use it. So that's basically number 3. Let me see. Like this. That's reference number 3. I think it's also very good. I'll send the originals of all of the videos and the place where I found all of the references in the Discord server, so you can go check it out. And also, like the last study, I also share my Clip Studio files. So if you're interested how it's going frame by frame, or you want to know how, like, which specific effects did I use, you can always just write a message to me personally, and I'll share all the files with you. I would love to share them on Discord themselves itself, but the files are a bit too heavy, especially if I use like a bunch of effects, like on the last week, how we did the goose. I've actually completed it. I haven't posted yet, so I'm probably gonna do it sooner or later. Okay, so let's see at all of 3 of our references side by side. Maybe we'll take some time to load, who knows. I prefer like rendering the whole animation beforehand, because sometimes they give you very weird frame rates and animation could look very wonky, especially if you have a lot of frames. So we have a reference number 1 with simple but very far. Number 2, that's a lot closer and has a lot of stuff in it. Sorry, it might be a bit too flashy, so I'll keep the images small. And number 3, that's one loading up. The video reference is somewhere in between. I'm probably more favored to pick a reference number 2, and since there are no specific requests, I think that's what we're gonna stick to. So let's put those away. Let's make this one bigger. So lose them. And let's make this one bigger, so we have enough space to work with. And I think this will be a very good time to have a little break. I definitely need something to drink, so give me a minute. Woo! There we go. Okay, and I think let's start at the most interesting part of the 5-Minute Friday is actually doing the animation. With this. Just an empty layer for me. So I think we can map the key things first. What happens, say, over here. Over here. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that was my little micromanager. That was my little puppy. You want to say hi? Come on. Yes. Oh, there she goes. Say hi, Mia. She's my little micromanager. That's what I call her, because usually when I work, she watches me work, and if she doesn't watch me work, she sleeps on the couch, making me very jealous because I can't sleep on the couch. Wish I could. So, there she is. Okay. You got your attention? You got what you needed? Okay, so Okay, enough. Let's get back to the explosion. So let's mark, I think, the beginning of explosion and the first, like this, first little pieces that will fly off. And from there, let's move. Oh, actually, I didn't see it there. Mm-hmm. And let's make another frame over here, which actually shows directions of explosion. I'll start like this. It'll get better. Pinky promise. We'll add some meat on the bones. I just need a good bone. Over here is well. I'm doing this like this so I would know how fast and how far I have to move it, because I'm gonna base some of the keyframes on the reference, but afterwards I think, no. Like this. And the last one, so it's happening over here. And then we'll go frame by frame. Straight ahead. Interesting that in this reference, oops, we're starting and ending in the middle of the effect happening. Ooh. Good. Woo. Ugh. Sorry. Love sneezing. I don't know how many people actually do this, but usually when I need to sneeze, I have to look at something at the ceiling, or preferably if there's like a bright fluorescent lamp, that makes me sneeze immediately. I haven't seen a fluorescent lamp in so long. I wonder how are they. So I'll probably have to remove the reference already. We're gonna keep the line like John over version, but I have to move some frames because I didn't want this camera move over here. Though I like the art looks very nice. I might keep it. Let's actually start from pose to pose. Let's go. Let's pick a funny color for us. and just making cool shapes. Maybe that's why I like doing like elemental effects so much, because you're just drawing cool shapes. Doing something funny there in the corner. Mm-hmm. Oops, change that first. Hi Narain, how's it going? We're slowly going through our 5 Minute Friday. We already examined the references we had, and right now I'm mostly using the reference we had to create a cool special effect. Let's go with something like this. I probably want to move this like this. Yes, it's like a magic show. Only the magic is super slow. It's like I'm not only showing the trick, but I'm also like coming onto stage and like prepare everything for a couple of hours. There we go. Go somewhere in the middle. Turn this off and just like this, I think. Mm-hmm. I think we have to push this arc more, so you can see how it has this like very thin snot line that connects these two forces. Maybe a bit too thin. So, yeah, something like this. And yep. Let's flip it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing I would change, while we're still kind of in this rough stage, I would give this a more fun, intriguing, dashing, dramatic line. Or maybe let's remove this all together and use the wave principle over here. The one we did, I think, 4 or 3 weeks ago with the little seaweed exercise. We're gonna move the root of the fire left, so we'll have the motivation to move the little end of the fire to the right. Like this. So then we'll create the two big shapes over here. And this dramatic shape over here. Yeah, I think that's good. See? Okay. I don't like the look of this little fire here as well. It looks like the letter B, which could be fun if you're like hiding red lettering in fire. But I think what we could do is we actually can separate this little piece. And we'll do this. Okay. And like this. Okay. We'll rip it, not all at once. I think we could have this beautiful curve over here. And choose Sadie. This is Clip Studio Paint. I think it's version X. I pay an annual subscription for one device. I prefer X because it gives a limited amount of frames, which is very important in animation. But you can still try it out. There's like, I think, different trials and a lot of different ways to organize a plan for yourself, whatever you find most useful to you. But I use Clip Studio Paint like 80% for animation, so I really need those frames. Like this. Yes. Oh, finally. I've struggled. Like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Let's flip it and see. Yeah, now they're not uniform. They're moving in their different directions. But I still want to indicate it's hot, so I want it still moving up a little bit. And this, I don't want to move so drastically. So let's take this, turn it, and then squish him out. Squish him out. I think this will be a lot better. And then we'll take this little fellow over here. We're gonna make him a tiny bit higher. Now we'll take another one. And we'll make it even more higher. Even higher. Yeah. I'll accept this weird lumpy shape for now. This is enough. Let's flip it. Yes. Now you can see we have several things going in here. We have this little thing going on, doing its own thing. We have this over here with like complex little forms. Let's move on forward. Anticipates. Let's see what the reference gives us. Nothing much. Oh, it doesn't go really far up. Okay. So this here. I think this. Oop. Excuse me. It's almost straight ahead. Or I think I was almost post-post if you have like one frame breakdown. Or somewhere in the middle. Also, we have this chunk over here that will be finally separating. This chunk over there. Again, you can see how these are becoming exactly the same. So we gotta do something about that. Maybe we'll rip the shape closer, maybe. Too squarish. Let's go with this. This doesn't look as uniform. Maybe something like this, so it wouldn't look as three waves coming from each other, but maybe like this. Yep. It's very important that if you're not doing something very stylized, like whatever goes through your vision, there's no right or wrong way to animate, I think. Anything, as long as you get the job done, and as long as you can show your vision, I think that's enough. But if we're talking about special effects and like some tips and tricks, I try to keep in mind is not making everything with the same shape in mind. So this is one of those things. Because even here, it looks kind of the size look the same, even though we eat a chunk of fire over here, they're still, relatively the same. So we'll have to show that this is stronger. It has more mass to it. So maybe we could do it then through this. Smushing it a bit. Let's flip it again. We could even do this. Not a lot of stuff to it yet, but we're getting there slowly. I think from now on, I wouldn't go with a lot of in-betweens. But I want to understand how the masses and the shapes work with each other, so I think that's really important. It's better to have a couple of rough in-betweens you can work around than not putting enough thought in the beginning of animation just to be met with a lot of complications you didn't thought out through. Because I have my fair share of like, oh, it's good enough. It usually happens when I animate characters and I don't think about the 3D space around them, and I'll have to adapt the 3D space to the character, and it didn't work out well. So, but I learned that on lesson 1 of animation courses. That's a very, very quick lesson to learn. I think it happened with the pillow. The first course is you have to animate a pillow doing several things like swinging, like jumping, and I think one else you have to punch. Oh, you have to make the pillow punch a wall and turn into something else. Basically, I had that, and it was like a very long jump, and I didn't draw the background beforehand. I had like a perspective grid, but I wasn't using it as much. It was like more for decoration because I didn't thought it out through, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle to make everything work. Actually, you know what we can do? We can space these out because I think they look well. We have some space in between them. Yeah, like this. Let's see. We still need some space between this frame. I think we just have to change the fire. We don't have these masses going up. We didn't draw them. And I think this arc is here for a good reason. Yes, let's do that. And even make this as a unified shape for now. Okay. Change this as well. Looks kind of weird. Let's flip it. It's just too different. Okay. Then let's delete this one. We'll just do this then. There we go. And I'm just gonna mark for myself what I have to add later. And over here, just so my brain will understand. How about now? Getting there. And as line everything out. It almost looks like a bunch of little umbrellas stacked onto each other. And here we already have our explosion. Oops. Let me start from here. And let's add a little in between over here. I think since we started later today than usual, I think I'll be going for, usually my time right now is 2 and I think it's 7 CET. So I think we'll go for 1 more hour, definitely. So we still have enough time. Since I don't want these fire, what would you call it? These fire squiggles to go out too quickly. I'm gonna keep them because the original detail was Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're a bit too samey on the disappearing part. So let's add some volume to the lower masses and reduce the mass on these lighter ones. Maybe we'll delete some of them, some of the arcs. Just so all of them will have their like own little shape language. I guess that's why it's a bit important to have everything unique, comparing to each other. That's what I think makes a special effect unique, when all the little parts and pieces are playing their own role. So they're not just three masses pushing up, but you can actually feel, the air pushing in different directions differently. I picked the wrong tool twice. Oof. I had a big day today. As a proper adult, I go on apartment hunting. It's very stressful. You have to pretend you're like a normal human being for a couple of hours. Who knew it could be so exhausting? I think I'll add some mass here too. I like the thin part over here. Like this. Let's flip it again. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. This one disappearing very quickly compared to this one that's going to be very spread out. Okay, let's add them. I think the only thing that will stay is this. And here we already have the explosion going all different directions. So all of this air is probably going to be blown away, and we can actually use it. We can have a bit of space in between this hot fire and the previous little hot streaks we had to indicate, how it's pushing really hard. I don't know if we can do that yet, but let's try. Let's make this one thin. pretty explosion shape. Mm-hmm. Pretty explosion shape. So if it was, I think, over here, so I think it would be these little bubbles that over here. I'm trying to understand where I would push them. First, we're going to be very dramatic. They've been pushed really bad. Yeah. We could even combine it with the shape, give them some overlap. Maybe like here. Like this would look probably good. Mm-hmm. Don't feel right. Like this. What if I cut this and make it thinner? Mm-hmm. I know it's a problem. I mean, I'm still pushing it really hard, but I still have to show the same shape. Plus, it has to feel it's going up, so maybe this arc would work a little better. Let's play. Still need some chewing over, but goes beyond the frame. You can do whatever you want, whatever you want to do. And we don't have anything else. Let's add one more to this. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see what we have. I think this counts as a very good rough start. We need to flesh it out a bit, maybe play with some timing, but I think it has potential, so we can do something with it. Let's close the helping layer. Maybe. And here on out, I think would be wise to give it more unpredictability, is to go strictly pose to pose. We have stuff we planned out, like masses and stuff, so I'm gonna be very careful around them. But I think we just need to add something uncoordinated, unplanned, just to give it the final zing and pep. Okay. It will still come with a lot of changes and edits. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think like the previous rough layer I did still counts as going straight ahead, but I think it still has a bit more planning than I have right now. Mm-hmm. And let's add an in between these two. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mhm. Yes, like this. There we go. I try to in between closer to the next frame than the previous one. Not like straight up in the middle, but choosing like preferring one um, to the another. Just in case if you're watching and you don't know, because even I get confused a lot. But the frame that's going to be next is colored in green. So one disadvantage of Clip Studio Paint to TV Paint is it's very hard to customize your, what would you call it, light table and onion skinning. You could do that, but it's very rough. But in TV Paint, that's why a lot of people prefer it for animation. It has an out of peg feature, even in the 10th version, where you can move these like light table images as much as you want to. So if your character is like running and you want to keep the, what would you call it, the volumes consistent, you can just use out of peg and like compare directly the images you have. In Clip Studio, you can't do that, so you have to rely on your eye a bit more. Like this. Mhm. Plus, I can't remember every single arc I'm doing, so it's useful to flip back and forth and see if it's actually um, uh, it's actually working. Sorry, it's hard to animate and talk at the same time. I want to change this one. This. Yes, I think this works a bit better. Delete this as well. Yes. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the beach. There we go. Yep. This is a bit inconsistent. I would also call this like a rough pass. More like focusing on the specific shapes. I think I overdid it. Like this. This looks nice. Let's add an in between. Should we? It's pretty. And stretch it really hard. Let's see how it works. Too early? Yeah, I think it will still need a couple of, maybe one more pass just to make everything work. Maybe I'm too self-critical. Maybe I'm simply delusional. Who knows? It hurts to be a little bit delusional sometimes. Yes, and something like this way. Maybe a bit too high. we're gonna make these disappear really quickly. Mhm. And this, maybe not. What do we have in the very different? Oops. Ah, I see. This was modular. Like this. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Do, 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 do. Mm. Usually when I try to draw something that's like very quickly disappearing, I try to note that the spacing between the lower arc has to be a lot bigger than the higher arc. Higher arc E. Like over here would be a small one on the top and a big one on the bottom. So it still creates an illusion that it's still like moving somewhere, but it's disappearing a lot quicker and it's not making a lot of progress. Same thing here. Small arcs below, big arcs on top. Okay, let's give it a play. Let's see what we have. I think that's pretty tasty. If we add a couple of in-between frames, maybe we can move some stuff a bit to make it a bit nicer, where it starts moving into the explosion. This explosion is going to happen really, really soon, and we won't have a lot of detail. So I think we can around 2, 3, 2. Okay, somewhere in the middle. Oh, and over here, do something like this. Very, very small arc on the top. Bigger arc on the bottom. Here, up, down fast, up slow. Down fast, up slow. Up, very slow. Down, pretty fast. Again, fast down, slow up. One more. 2, 3, 4. Also the pen I'm using, it has some like, some people have like stabilization in their pens. I also have it, but also I have this little random kind of noise destabilizer, just to keep the lines a bit more charm. That's why they came out so wonky. Still my fault, but not in the way you'd think it would be. It gives it the vibe of using something like ink that is somewhat hard to control. Let's take a look at it now. It's very interesting. And you can do the beginning fire in a bunch of different ways. I decided to go with the typical method for me, but I think if you try to animate this beautiful fire tail over here, it's also really, really pretty. My fire is a lot slower. It starts a lot earlier. Maybe I'll delete a couple of in-betweens. Sometimes in between would work even better than the keyframe I created. So in this part, like, I can allow myself to be a little over. Not the most, what would you call it? Not the least, not the most effortless way to draw. I do a lot of redraws. If the picture is nice, get the job done. Sometimes could be a bit tiring to do so many passes, but I think with each and every pass you'll find something you can improve on something. So, whoop. Over here, since we're moving already to the explosion, I'll stick to these directions, having smaller spacing to this frame. And I'm probably gonna change some stuff too. I want to make this part smaller. I'm not gonna stick to the guide layer anymore. Let's see. I want this piece of explosion following. I want it to follow the line over here. So I think what I have to do is I have to use some free transforms. Not there yet. Like this. I think that's pretty good. Ah, we have a couple of people joining. Hello. We're a bit more quiet today than usual. Happy to see some faces. We're slowly doing the explosion here. You can watch from the beginning where I show some of the examples of explosions. And here, I'm just going to show you what I already have done for today. Just some fire and some explosions that we're going to stretch out, and we're probably going to be for 10-15 more minutes, and then I'll probably have to call it quits. I will submit the more or less finished version to the Discord server, so you can always hop there, check it out, and I'm going to share the last 5 Minute Friday that I've cleaned up as well. So some additional stuff there. Plus, I share all of my Clip Studio files, not through Discord. You just have to ask me personally if you ever want to just check it out for yourself. Okay. So I think this be shape number 1. This. Would be the shape number 2. This would be the shape number 3. And we have this. This shows some of the explosion bits that fly off first and foremost, that we actually don't even see on the normal camera. But we can imagine them. Two. Let's flip it. Let's see if our guide layer is saying something different. They do. Let's follow the guide layer for this one specifically. Give some fun shapes inside the explosion. We could also separate these two little bits over here. Far gone. The previous flame, smoke, whatever that was, also falling out. And let's have another frame, which we're gonna in between as well, and we're gonna have the smallest spacing, so you can actually feel the air and hot particles stopping all together. Smaller spacing on the bottom because, well, it's not floating up, so you still have to be on the outside of a previous layer. This and like this. Little eye inside of it. Okay. And let's add an anti-flare layer. He mixed up the words of frame and layer. That's what happens if you don't learn to speak properly. You can't blame me. I had a speech impediment when I was little. So if you ever laugh at me, feel bad about it. I'm guilt tripping you into it. I'm trying to stick closer to the green lines. So it would feel like it's moving rapidly to that little spot. And then we're just gonna hover on and make somewhere like another frame, somewhere like straight in the middle. So the spacing would be slowly slowing down. Yeah, I mean, you could say it that way. Now next frame, we gotta put these little two pieces that are flying out away from the explosion a lot further. They have to accelerate, so I feel like something's actually disappearing. Okay, our last frame of this rough pass, we're gonna look it over. Maybe we'll flip it, maybe we'll change something, and then I'll give it some time to display so you could look over it yourself. And I'm just going to talk about some news in our school if you watched, till the end of the recording, because I don't know if you can, you probably won't be able to see the number of people who's watching right now, but it's actually 0. So I'm talking completely to myself or someone who decided to watch this far into the recording. So yeah. Very homely, very quaint, very frank, This is an undergrad stream. So if you're watching up until here, you can say that you're watching someone really indie. Okay. There we go. And you know what I'm also gonna do? For it to look that the movement is ending, I'm gonna actually add another frame, making the spacing so indistinguishably small that it will be more of a sign that the movement is coming to an end, rather than there's any movement at all. Like a boil. There was this very funny animation that was like drawing a single picture or drawing a one-frame boil. And no one can tell you not to. Whop. With the speed of light, finishing the last frame to free myself. And see how it looks with the second rough pass. Okay, let's turn everything off. Let's hide these as well, so we'll be able to look at it. Maybe I'll put everything on this side. Okay. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, let me. No. And yes. Now this looks better. pretty good. Ow. Stubbed my hand. I think this looks pretty good, especially for a first pass. Maybe the fire is a bit too slow. Maybe I have to delete some of the in-between frames, or maybe I'll have to push something around. But I think the arcs are working really nicely. You could feel the fire moving and the sudden explosion breaking out. So I think we achieved our goals. Let's see how different the reference and the end product looks like. So let's make this smaller so we can see it on one corner, and in the other corner let's put the reference. Let's make the reference smaller. We don't need it so big. It's our work that needs to be big and shiny. Okay, let me move away everything that could be, yes, it could be in a way. Okay, let's see it. It doesn't have quite the same energy, I think, as the unpredictable explosion. I think mine is a bit more sweet around the edges, but I think it mostly comes to amount of in-betweens I have and the timing I did for the explosion. Because I think all the parts are there. It's just something you have to go through trial and error. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna have a good rest because when doing animation is very hard. So give yourself enough time to heal, to rest, to look at other stuff, to be inspired by other stuff, and then come back and fix it. And maybe I'll do some like couple effects. Maybe I'll draw a silly robot getting exploded. We'll see. But the end product is anyway going to be on our Discord. Link is in the description. Thank you for being here. Today, no matter how long you have been, I'll be wrapping up for today. In our school news, if you've ever been interested in character design, or you want to try it out, or you feel you're not good at it and it's something you want to get better at, we have a new course on visual development with our teacher Mara Sharvit. Plus, I'm probably going to add this in, not in post, but I'm just going to add a link of our live stream where we look through people's spider sonas, and Moore gave his insight and just gave a review on what could we do better. And it's actually turned out really interesting. We have very different works that have been submitted, and we're probably going to do something with reviews in the future. So this is a very good time to connect to our Discord server and check out courses and just hang around. We have a lot of non-school, non-course features that you would find very fun and engaging, like this 5-Minute Friday live stream where we dissect a reference and try to animate something in less than 2.5 hours. And on Sundays, we actually have our live drawing session with one of our students who's leading it, Chloe. I go there every week. I try to be. So I hope I'll see you there too. This was pretty fun. I mean, I love BattleBots, so it was a pleasure for me. Yeah, I think that'll be it for today. Thank you for sticking around, those who are watching it right now. Yeah, hope to see you next 5-Minute Friday. Maybe it will be a bit more lively than usual. But anyways, very thankful, whoever you are. Bye bye.